What's going on, everybody? It's the FF Mediators. I'm joined by Tyler. My name's Matt, and today we're going to walk through Chris Olave, kind of go through what we think is happening with his season so far, do a little bit of a temperature check, see if we're buying, selling, what we're doing on our squads that have him. Tyler, I know you're a big Chris Olave believer. You liked him coming out of Ohio State. It's year three. What do you think of it so far?
So far, I mean, it's definitely not looked great. It looks like Shaheed has been the wide receiver one there, who I know Coach loves. Um, him and Derek Carr have had a special connection, whereas Olave's seemed to kind of lack. Last year, when him and Derek Carr would start games, it was like he would go ghost in the first half. And then it's like they went into halftime and they were like, "Hey, you remember this guy named Chris Olave? Yeah, he's on our team as well. Maybe we should target him a little bit more." And then the second half, Olave would get his targets. He would end up with a respectable game. And if he scored a touchdown, it would be even better. This year's not really been the case, it feels like. Um, Derek Carr has been favoring Shaheed a little bit more. And Kamara's been good as well. So definitely, I think he's in need of a temperature check for us. I've got him on a few different teams here. With the Derek Carr injury, he does have, I think it's a torn oblique at this point. Um, Matt, does Spencer Rattler coming in and having the comments about, we need to feed this guy the ball when he's on the field, does that give you, hope that he's going to produce better, or are you a little scared because of the rookie quarterback?
So it gives me a little bit of hope knowing that one, he realizes he needs to get Chris Olave the ball. Like you said, his game is targets, 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 targets. Get him the ball. Year one, he had 119 targets as a rookie. That's great. Year two, last year, he had 138. This year, he's only got 28 on the season, so it's just over five a game. He needs to get that number up. That's his game. And we saw that in week four when they played the Falcons. He had 12 points, but he had 10 targets with eight catches. And week three was his best game of the season where he scored 17 fantasy points. He had six targets with six catches for 86 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, the touchdown floats the day there. But, Spencer Rattler's interesting to me just because what we've seen out of Derek Carr is exactly what Derek Carr has been his entire career. Just Derek Carr. He's inconsistent. He's not going to kill you. He's just going to kind of keep you in games. He'll throw some picks every now and then, but he's not an elite quarterback. I do think there's a world where Spencer Rattler can have this job, just given his college history of, you know, nonstop starts everywhere at Oklahoma, then jump into South Carolina. Let's not forget when he's at Oklahoma, he was replaced by Caleb Williams. So he's got a lot of experience as a passer. So I think there's some hope for Chris Olave, especially given the fact that he's announced he's going to just pepper him with targets. So I have a little bit of hope. I think there's a world where it works.
Yeah. I think, there is a little bit of room for hope here, and that's not just me saying I believe in the guy. Um, Rattler's words have been definitely encouraging. I'm just I find it hard to believe until we see it at least. Rookie quarterbacks, there's some stats out there saying, that like they fail to support even just a top 24 wide receiver most of the time. And that kind of scares me a little bit. I know typically, rookie quarterbacks when they come in, they're trying to get the ball out of their hands a little bit quicker. So maybe that leads to more targets for Alvin Kamara, takes away from Chris Olave. Now if Rattler comes out there, like you said, he's got the starts, so maybe he's a little bit more confident, and he just starts, slinging the ball down the field. I think it definitely could bode well for the offense in general, but especially Chris Olave. I think it'll give a good connection, um, hopefully at least. This past week was definitely his worst week. He only had 2 catches for 10 yards. I don't know, how everybody else feels about 2 fantasy points on the week. I'm pretty sure I could
Not
take a
great.
guess, but that's not great. He is in half PPR, he's averaging 9 points per game, which is not gonna hurt you, but it's not great. You're not winning weeks because of that. In PPR, he's up to about 11.2, I think. Um, so that makes you feel a little bit better. At least he's in double digits. But like Drake London with his like 13 targets, you get into Malik Neighbors' target share,
Oh my gosh. Insane numbers, right?
it's insane. So That's what we're looking for, especially in PPR, even half PPR. The more targets, the better. It gives you more chances to score. Just in general, get those air yards. So I'm hoping the Spencer Rattler uh, start. I think it bodes well. At least we're hoping. Fingers crossed, right? like
Yeah,
at this
you
point.
know, like, can it get any worse? I don't know. I really don't think it can get much worse. And don't hear what I'm not saying. I understand it's a rookie quarterback, so he might not be great. But if they're losing, this ball club or this club is going to try and win games. So I expect them to continue to throw the ball and try and compete. And Chris Olave is someone they need. I mean, outside of Shaheed Olave and Alvin Kamara, there's no other playmakers on this team. Taysom Hill's hurt, so you don't have to worry about him being a little bit of a vulture at the end zone or in the red zone. So they need to spread the ball out, and it might help for this offense just to settle down and just run some dink and dunk, quick offense, quick reads for Rattler. Because, we see that all the time in the NFL where that comes in and it just works. Like Bo Nix has done it some this year. Jaden Daniels has done it some this year. Caleb Williams has done a little bit of it. You can even go to Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's offense is not that complex. Like he's just running the play, looking for his read, and getting the ball out of his hands. And that really helps an offense. And I think that Olave thrives in that role. Like he just does. So it's going to be interesting to me to see what they do. As far as it goes for his dynasty value, I think he's around a first and a second, somewhere around there. He's got a ton of name value to him. He was a sell for me at the beginning of the season. One of our very first videos we did, he was a sell for me, and he remains a sell for me. And I know I hate to say that for you. He was a guy I was really high on. I actually wanted him more than Garrett Wilson in the rookie draft that we had. Unfortunately, he got taken, and then I took Garrett Wilson, so I guess it worked out. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know, Tyler. Is he a sell for you? Is he a hold? Are you buying him if you can? Where are you at?
I think it really depends, maybe on what kind of team you have. I think if you're a contender, I think at most you're holding him and you're just hoping for production at this point. I think you might be selling him and trying to get to somebody within that same tier. Maybe just try to get some value and some more points. Get those points on your team. Like you
Okay.
said, he's got some name value there. Um, I don't know. It's tough on a rebuilding team, though. I think he's definitely a buy. He's 24 years old. Like you said, this is his third year. Um, I think it can only go up from here. Um, I don't know, man. It's tough to call.
Well, let me hit you with some names that are around the same tier. Um, and the first one for me, we covered it in another video, so we don't have to spend too much time on it. But would you rather have Brian Thomas or Chris Olave?
Man, right now, as far as it looks, it's scoring points. I'd rather have Brian Thomas, and
Me
that's
too.
kind of crazy to say.
Me too. This one's a hard one, and I really haven't thought about it. I think I know my answer. I'd be interested to know where you fall. Jaden Reed or Chris Olave?
Oh man, listen, I'm a big Jaden Reed believer. I thought he was a wide receiver one in the offseason anyway. It's definitely a read for me. I wonder how that trade would work out. I think he's probably got a little bit more value now than Olave, so you might have to add to go get him. But if it's like a one for one swap, or Olave still somehow has a higher value, I think I'd rather have Reed.
Yeah. Need I say more? Go green. I'm not picking against Reed. Give me Reed. But your point's taken of you need to evaluate your team and kind of see what's going on, whether you need to be buying or selling. If you're rebuilding and you can move off some older vets and maybe pull him, or do a tear down if you're rebuilding. If you're a contending team and you want to try and buy low on Chris Olave, I think that's just fine. I'm probably not doing it because I don't want to spend my first on that, but it really just depends on your team makeup. But the temperature check on Chris Olave is interesting, and I think it's something we're going to have to continue to evaluate and continue to monitor. But given the situation we're in, I think he's probably just a hold for right now. You don't want to do anything too drastic. Let's see what happens with Spencer Rattler. Let's see if they develop a connection or if he's peppered with targets. But either way, that's going to do it for us. Be sure to follow us at the FF Mediators on X. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube, drop a comment below what you're doing with Chris Olave. If you've done a recent trade with Olave, let us know. We'd be interested to hear about it. You can catch us live every Wednesday on the Faceoff Sports Network and on our channels, where we're going to be answering your questions live. And you can jump in, ask your questions, and we'll go over those. Do team reviews, trade reviews, anything you can think of. We're just talking fantasy football. You can also catch us live on X at the halftime of the Thursday night football games. We have a space over there. You can jump in, ask your questions there too. But until then, y'all, we will see you then. Thanks for tuning in.